Jim. He's he's just traveling. He's not living in. He still works. He's in his late 50s. He's not ready to retire, but he wants to have a little more to life. He had a health scare, and he looked at his life and said, I'd like there to be more to my life than just what there is. So he took his Kia Sedona and he got a few camping items and he got it ready to travel in. Wasn't very hard. It didn't cost him a lot of money, but he's made it so it's extremely comfortable. And it's a pleasant experience to travel now in his Kia Sedona. And it's a great example of not all or nothing, just kind of easing your way into it. Maybe you think that you don't have the time or the money or the skills to convert a van like sometimes we show you, and we all love to see the really elaborate and beautiful conversions like Beth's in the recent video, and they are really nice vans and we love to look at them. But it doesn't have to be like that. It can be a simple minivan, and you can put a few take the seats out, they're either fold down or pop out, put in a few camping items, and you've got a great traveling, touring minivan. You can get 20 miles to the gallon, travel around the country. Say you live in one of the northern states, and you get tired of the really long, cold winters. And how nice would it be just to take a couple weeks off or a month off and go and spend that in Arizona or Florida and be comfortable and wake up every day and be glad you're not home in the snow and the cold and read about the latest storm at 10 below and 2 feet of snow and think, I'm not there. That would be nice, wouldn't it? And you can do that. Take a look at your car. Go out next time you're out there and think, how could I sleep in there? Is there a way I could sleep in there and get a bed made and carry a few things for an overnight night, a weekend trip, or maybe even a week trip? And if you can do it for a week, I bet you can do it for a month. And or maybe if you have a minivan, boy, you're set. The minivans are just super for living in. So just an idea to mull over, to give some thought to. It's great to look at our videos, and I really appreciate it, but it's all about making your life better. And I think this might be just the thing, just the trick. Little toe in the water, and you'll like the water. It's really fine. You know, some great big oaks come from some real small acorns. And just the fact that you're watching these videos says there's a hunger there for a little more out of life than you have right now. I hope you enjoy the video, and whatever you do with it, I'm glad you're watching. Thanks. Hi everyone. We're going to do another video today, and today we're going to look at how to live in a Kia Sedona minivan. And I got to tell you, I just made a new friend, Jim. Say hi, Jim.
Hello.
And I am so impressed with what Jim has done with his minivan that I want to share it with you. Minivans are tough to live in, and yet he's done, I think, maybe one of the best jobs I've ever seen. And yet you're brand new at this, aren't you, Jim? You've just been a few days.
Yes, just this last week.
And so as of now, you're married, you have a home, you have a job. That's right?
That's correct.
And so now you're just taking trips.
That is correct. This is the first one.
Maiden voyage. And so tell us about this van. It's obviously it's a Kia Sedona.
Yeah, it's a 2008. I pick it up used. It only had 18,000 miles, so that's one of the reasons why I decided to do something with it, because it's still under warranty technically. And so I slowly built it out a little bit and started with a place to sleep. But I did really concentrate on the kitchen part, because I know people are going to be doing a lot of cooking, and myself, I'd rather have better meals than eating at the fine dining of a truck stop.
So you had kind of a health scare, so health has become a pretty big issue to you.
Yes, it did. I had some heart issues back a couple of years ago. Hopefully things are fixed, but you never know when they can rear their ugly face. So it just gave me a little incentive to say it's time to go see some of the world that you haven't had the opportunity to see. Pushing 60, it's kind of a scary. You figure you're on more of the downside than the upside.
So when you're there thinking this could be it, you're kind of reevaluating your life and the direction you've gone and the direction you want to go.
That's correct. And like I said, there's so much that you haven't seen, and even though I'm doing very well and probably better than a lot of folks because I've done exactly what they required, the exercise and medicines, things like that, the diet changes. But there's so many things that you haven't seen as you continue to get older, and what better way to do it on the ground rather than fly to a destination and stay there and then go back. You never get to see the path.
Yep.
I've done some light investigation in RVs and things like that, but they're pretty darn costly, and the build quality isn't tremendous. So that's why I decided let's try it with the minivan. Plus, 20 plus miles a gallon is much better than the big RVs.
Right. And let's take a look around and see the amazing job you've done with your minivan. You've got your bikes, so you're trying to stay healthier with the bike.
That's correct.
And of course, it'll run a quick trip into town and save you some gas too.
Well, I think I'll find that out today. So you kill two birds with one stone: exercise, and then.
And it's actually remarkably open. And you've made no physical changes to the van itself.
The only thing I did was take the two middle seats out, and the back seat I folded down for this particular trip.
But they're intended to come in and out. They just pop in and out.
That's correct.
Right. So no physical changes.
None.
You go home and you can convert it to exactly a soccer mom minivan. Well, this is just a cot. You went and bought a cot, and it just sits in here.
Yeah, it's a Cabela's or a typical Army cot. It's not oversized. It's like 27 by 75 inches, but it gives me enough height for storage underneath. It's got a pad on top, so it gives me some quality sleeping. And again, the key item is I can take that out. If it was a super hot night, I can put it outside if I wanted to.
The net on top was just standard that came with the Kia. Is that
came
right?
with the Kia. It's one of those grocery holding nets that's in the back, but I never really used it, so I just put a couple of S-hooks up there and hooked it onto the handles. I used the small one as a vegetable or fruit hammock, and then I bought a separate hammock, just to hang the fruits and air them out and make you feel like you're getting fresh fruit.
And you need one of the things, so you're covered all the basics. So your most basic is you need a good bed, and the Cabela's cot gives you that. You need a comfortable place to sit. So you bought a Helinex folding backpacker's chair.
Oh man, I love that thing. It holds up to 320 pounds, which is I go about 180, so I still got some room.
And you don't touch your head when you're sitting in it.
And inside, I don't touch my head. I can take it outside and use it.
Why don't we do that?
And
or not use it.
And it breaks down to about a foot, and maybe this big around.
Right.
That's it.
And it weighs nothing. I mean, to pick this up with just two fingers and throw it around is child's play.
Oh, that's correct. And
if you're going to live in a tiny space, multi-use is incredibly important.
Very, very important. It hasn't taken me long to figure out that everything has to have as many options to use or reuse as possible.
Right. So you limo tinted the windows for privacy.
That's correct.
And do you have anything you cover the inside with?
No.
No, you just the window tint split and good enough. Of course, you have the front covered with is that with a windshield cover?
That's a standard windshield cover. It's one that you can get online. That's made specifically for the vehicle, so fit's important.
So you've got privacy. You've got a bed, you've got a nice lounge area, that's your living room, a bedroom, and for heat, you have a Mr. Buddy. It's stored right here, and it's a case.
The medium-sized Mr. Buddy, which
right.
is, I had to turn it off when I was in Aspen this week, and it was only 20 degrees because it was way, way too hot, even on low.
Yes, yeah, that's their one problem, is they're actually too big for a little van. I mean, they put out more heat than you really need.
And it was much more efficient.
Yes.
Than getting a small one. The small one, I didn't want to tip it over or anything like that. So.
And extremely organized.
Well, thank you. In the back corner, I have basically all the items that I would need for a fan. I got some lithium-ion batteries, cords, things of that sort. In the first one, I have one box for my actual clothes and one for my, undergarments. And the black one that's over here, I use specifically for food and canned goods.
Well, let's take a look from the back, which is really, really impressive as well. So this is one of the things I am by far most impressed with. You have really got an outstanding kitchen, because you were a cook at one time in your life.
A long time ago.
And
I still enjoy cooking.
And you want to eat healthy because you had a health scare.
Correct.
And so you have set up a really nice kitchen. So go ahead and let's just tell me about all the things we're looking at here.
Okay, basically, people are pretty familiar with a Dometic. I put a small Dometic fridge that basically plugs into 12 volt, runs off my battery, and that gives one person plenty of room. The one thing I didn't mention while I was inside is this can be taken out completely. It's used a lot for camping, off-grid, things like that. What I can do is reverse it, and that way if it were raining or I wanted something during the evening, I can access it from the other side very simply. So you can get a cup of milk, you can have a candy treat, which I brought up one with me.
Can we open it up? You've got a pretty tight fit there, but people get an idea that you've got a lot of stuff in there. And for a single guy, it's fine.
Right.
And where did you get these from?
Well, basically, the racks themselves are off the shelf. You can get them at Home Depot, anywhere. Targets, Lowe's, wherever you want to go. And I bought the small 24 by 20 by 14 racks. And I did cut one down because I anticipated putting something on the back, but I no need for it. And then what I just did is, so I have 14 inches wide, 24. So with the minivan, you're about 48, 49 wide. I just tied them together. That way I would have room. What I thought was a neat idea is I took a cutting board and had it notched out. So I have a full cutting board, so I can use the full cutting board for like vegetables and things of that sort. But I also have the polypropylene that I put on top if I have meats or something like that. So that works.
You don't want the contamination.
So you don't get contamination.
And over here, you just have a standard.
I did measure out.
2-burner.
Correct. And what that does is give me not just the windshield, but it also keeps it from going to the back. And I suppose unless you're, splattering grease all over, which I try to eat a whole lot less grease, this does a fantastic job. It's given me a second ledge, which I put this down and I bungee everything in. I'll tell you what, bungees to me are one of the most key things that you have, because I hate the rattles when you're driving and things like that. So different size bungees to tighten things in. They're simple, easy, and inexpensive. Down lower, which I learned obviously from your channel, is instead of carrying all the small propane tanks, which I do have for the buddy heater, and as a backup if I wanted to, go off into a campsite or something like that. But I did buy the 1 gallon container, hooked up the hose so I can hook it up to my my cooker, and that's worked out fantastic because it doesn't have the bottle hanging off the back like most people are used to. And then I think one of the things that Bob had mentioned, that he kind of liked was online. This particular company makes it's called a portable shower, and they make them, I believe, out of Florida, and they're originally made to clean off any salt water, people who are active like that, have boating, yachting, things like that. But they build a fantastic product, and I use that. I haven't showered with it yet. It hasn't been warm enough in Aspen at 20 degrees. And but it works great for washing dishes. It works great for brushing your teeth in the morning and at night, or 3 times a day like you're supposed to. And most of all, I can be using it for a shower. Add some hot water, which I can heat up some hot water, pour it in there. This one's 4.5 gallons. They make them, I believe, at 4.5, 8, and 11, or 8 and 13, something like that. But for an expense, I went the extra mile on that. So it's 12 volt also.
Right, but we're going to talk about your battery system in just a minute. So you bought pretty good quality things. It costs you a little more money,
Right.
but you've got a setup here that it works extremely well and should last you a long time.
I was told a long time ago, if you buy quality, you're going to be in better shape. But that doesn't mean that you have to go out and spend thousands. I mean, the most expensive thing here obviously was the refrigerator. But online you can buy these for, $60, $50.
Right.
These are about $50 depending upon where you go. Again, the shower itself, I did find it on sale for $98. That was, expensive, but for my size, 4.5 gallons is beautiful. But these racks, I don't know, $10, $12, $15. You can buy an inch piece of wood, notch out the edges, and what is that, $5 or $6? And so I tried to do it inexpensive with decent quality and something where I could break the van back to a regular minivan at this particular point.
So this works perfectly for taking trips, but if you wanted to live in this, it wouldn't be much of a leap to do so.
Oh, no doubt. We've talked about it, Bob, that I don't see why with the refrigerator and fruits and vegetables. I have this 4.5 gallon water. I carry a couple extra water jugs. I have a backup 3 gallon. So, there's 10, 12 gallons of water. And everything else that I have, I could stay out for weeks, I would think.
Right. So over here you've got a table. Oh, well, let me have one more question. Have you ever tried cooking inside? You reverse that and just try it inside?
I haven't. I'm sure you could. I would probably have to move it from one side to the other and sit off the side. But what I have done, and I didn't mention, is I do carry a separate, standard, $15, $20 butane stovetop. And that works great for pulling off the side of the road, or if it was raining outside, or if you wanted one item, I can use that with the butane.
Right. And so to work outside, you have a table here.
My product, but it's aluminum, so you can set things on it. I don't know I want to stand on it, but I can move things around, wash dishes. I can pull out my pots and pans, which I did buy an inexpensive set of pot and pans, and I tried to
the side door and the battery system. So we're just walking around the side. A lot of these minivan now have 2 doors, one on each side. And easy access then for more storage and organization.
Correct. Well, like Bob had said, that it's hard, everybody said it's harder living out of smaller spaces or staying in smaller spaces, and everything has to be used once or twice or for 3 different things. But it's very, very important that everything has its own little place. Particularly in here, again, the backside of my food, which is canned goods and things of that sort. But I also bought a 3 gallon tank. Everybody's got their 7 gallon, things like that. But this one happened to be the perfect design to fit in a perfect spot, and everything has its place, just like that. Battery wise, I did something that's not unknown, pretty simple. I did buy a Minn Kota trolling battery case, which has a couple 12 volts. It checks the battery, and I put a 100 amp hour battery in there, which is a group 27. Fits great. And for my particular case, I don't have solar at this particular point, but what I did was I hooked up a battery isolator to my front battery, so while I drive, I'm charging everything all at once.
So now we're looking at your isolator. Pop the hood. Here's your starting battery.
I went with the 2 battery system, where I have my original front battery, but I also got a combination battery that has high cranking amps, but it also has a high amp hour rating. I hooked that to an oversized battery isolator, and what that allows you to do is when you start off your starting battery. When this battery is fully charged, it trickles over to the other battery in the back and charges it fully. And so when you drive, you're going to charge the full battery, you're going to charge the back battery, so every time you stop, you're going to have full battery capacity, or if you go any distance. Pretty simple to hook up.
Give us an idea of how the hookup procedure.
Well, the battery isolator is only that big, so
Right.
it was only 2 inches by 3 inches, and I hooked it actually to the frame. You find a spot within your car. This happened to be the van that had a spot right there. It's a little tight to maybe get in for some fluids, but if you take care of it, you're not going to have a problem. You run one off your positive. You run a wire off to your negative, or you ground it, and then one wire. This one goes through here and over to my fuse relay, which is
This is your fuse relay box, which happens to be right there.
right there, so it only had to go a foot. And what you do is you find ignition switch that's always hot, and then you run a wire
Always
back.
hot, or
Yeah,
it goes off with the key?
goes off with the key. So
Right.
when you turn your key on, the switch actually works. Now, some people say these can wear out, but I bought a bigger one, a better one, and hey, if it lasts 3 years or 5 years, I got my workout.
Oh, sure it'll last that.
Yeah, and so then you run an actual cord, or the thicker the better.
Yep.
Obviously 0 would be best, but I think these are 2s or 4s.
That should be plenty.
Plenty, because your car itself has less. And then you run that back to your battery, to your second battery, which we saw a minute ago, and then I grounded it to the frame. Fairly simple setup, can be done by yourself, or relatively inexpensively you can hire somebody. I think this is and I've
Keeps your battery charged.
Well,
and
correct.
you're running your fridge off of it.
That's correct. I run the fridge, but I also have one other item that I do particularly. Some people may or may not. It looks to me like people who've been out here for some period of time are carrying some sort of tools because they have things that go wrong. What I've done is committed to one of the brands, happened to be Ryobi, because Home Depots are everywhere. Is I bought some of the additional items with the tools. So you have the tool, the screwdriver, the blah blah blah, and things like that. But what I did is I bought additional items so I can run, the batteries and.
So it's not in the shadow.
Okay.
Now I own and use Ryobi tools.
Correct. So if my batteries are missing, I know who's got them.
Yeah. I have those exact batteries. That is the charger for the goes.
Right. So I have a light. It's an LED light, and this thing will run for. I think it said on high it'll run 22 hours, but on low it'll run 40 hours.
Turn it on. I bet we can even see it in this
You think?
glare. It's bright enough. Yeah, you can see that.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of light out here, and yet you can see that.
So it's got a high and it's got a low. So if you wanted to actually read, you can read. If you wanted to, put it out by a camp. If you wanted just ambient light, some people opt to go chain lights and things like that. That's fine too. But this to me was inexpensive. They're about $20, and then you use the same batteries for everything else. And I have 4 batteries, so I can charge those while I'm driving. And when I get to a destination, they're good for 2, 3, 4 days, so maybe a week. And the same thing I did with the radio. I bought the inexpensive radio. It's like $20.
And that one has
And it also has a USB, so at nighttime, if I'm listening to, it's not gonna, have a surround sound system or anything like that, but it works great to listen to ball game, or, the country station or closest station you're at. And then the batteries obviously pop off, pretty simple. And it also charges my phone all night, so at nighttime it's charged. So if I wake up in the morning, it's fully charged. I don't know what else you need other than a phone.
And you have a fan.
I have a fan that hooks up with this that either goes dual, it'll actually run off the battery, or if I had shore power, I can run off shore power.
Right.
So they're all Ryobi products, and maybe I should get some money for that, for pushing that product.
Well, you and me both, because I'm a huge fan of Ryobi. They're the only tools I recommend. And as a system, you can get these other accessories really cheap, and it works extraordinarily well.
Don't be afraid to make a mistake. It's like anything else in life. If you go out and you don't do it because you're afraid to make a mistake, you'll never do it. But go out and make a few mistakes. I even spent an extra few dollars trying some different things that didn't work, and I got a pile of junk sitting at the house. But give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
And I can tell you, this first week, I'll be back out as fast as I can. But basically, give it a shot. And like in my case, put my toe in the water, and we'll see how things go. But so far, thumbs up.
Great. Well, Jim, thank you so much. And folks at home, if you like these videos, go ahead and like us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. And we'll talk to you later.